Good evening. Please be seated. Welcome. Bienvenidos. Guten Tag. Bonjour. Ni hao. Okay. Shalom. In whatever language you feel welcomed, I welcome each of you to tonight's commencement of the class of 2014, University of Iowa School of Social Work. It's great to preside at this event. My name is Ed Saunders, and I'm the director of the school. And as director, it's always my privilege to preside at commencements. This is our second commencement this week for the School of Social Work. Last night we graduated 25 MSW students in our Sioux City program. So tonight we are here to confer degrees on 15 students earning their Bachelor of Arts degrees and 26 students earning their Master of Social Work degrees. On Friday morning, we'll graduate another 48 students with their Bachelor's degrees in Social Work, 39 MSWs, and 3 PhD students in Iowa City. So collectively, we will have graduated 156 social workers from the University of Iowa School of Social Work this week. And I can just tell you, that's a whole lot of graduation cake. By Friday, I'll be flying on a great sugar high. So I'm halfway there and halfway done. But of course, it's great to be here at Betts tonight. Betts Auditorium. I grew up here in Des Moines, and Betts was always considered the home of rock stars. So I consider all of us tonight rock stars of social work. It's a good feeling to be at Betts, isn't it? And on such a happy occasion. After doing this for as many years as I have, this is my 9th year as director of the school, and as you see, I do this pretty routinely over the course of several days every May. I try to have gotten the bugs worked out, but we all know that on big events like this, some things can periodically go wrong. And I'm reminded every year of the situation I came upon a few years ago. We were graduating a PhD student in Iowa City, and she was a Latina from Puerto Rico. And she had invited many of her family from Puerto Rico, and it was just a happy occasion for her and her family, as it is for everyone. But of course, I did my best to welcome them all in my high school of Spanish. Welcomed her to the stage. Everything was going smoothly. And as she was leaving the stage, I tried to bring forward my Spanish word for congratulations again. But unfortunately, the only thing that came out of my mouth was, Feliz Navidad! So things didn't go awry. I understand her extended family is still talking about El Director Loco. So I'm going to stick with the language I know best, which is English, for the rest of tonight's proceedings, although my friends will tell me that I sometimes struggle equally with English. Some of you may not know that I have connections to the Des Moines program. As a matter of fact, my first 12 years on the faculty of the University of Iowa School of Social Work, I taught here at the Des Moines Center among colleagues here. And I refer to those days as my Des Moines 15, because that's the amount of weight I gained in those years here in Des Moines. It seemed that at every class, students were passing around Twinkies, Twizzlers, brownies, all kinds of good things. I don't know if they still do that here in Des Moines, but it was nonetheless a very happy occasion in my life, despite the gain. This, of course, is graduation, a win-win situation, a win-win event. On the one hand, what I identify as the first win is that 41 students here tonight will be leaving with increased knowledge and skills to better serve many vulnerable people in our communities as professional social workers. And on the other hand, the second win, Iowa, the nation, and even the world will benefit from 41 new professional social workers. So I consider this celebration, again, a win-win situation. A win for our students and a win for the communities in which they will serve. It's great to see everyone looking so happy today. Graduation is certainly a happy event, and we have a beautiful night to celebrate this occasion. Graduation, of course, is always on the top of any list about which people can be happy, and in fact, it's included in this book, 14,000 things to be happy about. Graduation, right up here. Of course, there's other occasions for being happy, and some that I identified as I looked at the list that would apply to our graduates. Another one in this book is spending more time with your family and friends. Here you go. How about going to a movie once in a while? Something that you could be happy about. How about, let's see, page 359, when you can pay off your student loans. Occasion for happiness. And for the parents, page 65, when your son or daughter graduates from college and does not move back home. So there are many occasions for happiness. Those are just a few of them, and there's another 15,900 and some left behind. We know that so many of you contributed here tonight to the fact that we have 41 students in front receiving their degrees. And so what I'd like the students to do is please stand. Now let's turn around and give all the people behind us a big round of applause. Thank you, parents, grandparents, siblings, spouses, partners, children, friends, and everyone who are in attendance who supported the journey of our 41 students here tonight. Please be seated. Thank you for giving that recognition with me to so many people here who made such an important contribution. I'm also mindful of the fact that many of you have children, and as we read in the program notes, we saw that many of your children made sacrifices for you to be here as well tonight, in addition to many other people in your life. And I was aware of the nature of what it means to be a young child growing up with a parent in the program. Just last night in Sioux City, I was, before the ceremony, I was talking to one of the little children of one of the graduating students there in Sioux City. And so I bent down, and she was a little girl of 5 or 6, and I said to her, I bet you're really happy that your mommy is graduating tonight, aren't you? She said, oh yeah, because the longer she was in the program, the weirder those bedtime stories got. I looked puzzled, and she said, yeah, do you know the story about human behavior in the social environment? I said, I didn't. She said, well, how about the research story? And I said, the research story? I said, and how does that one end? And she says, well, the princess and the prince had statistically significant findings ever after. I had to admit, I hadn't heard that one, although I taught research for many years. And then she said, oh, and then there was that other story when Mommy took the course on differences between people. And I said, oh, of course, our diversity course. And she said, and you know how that one ends? I was really intrigued, of course. I said, no, tell me, how does that story end? And she said, well, the princess and the princess lived happily ever after. So you see, our children benefit from these programs just as much as our students. Well, I know that the students are so appreciative to all the many people in attendance tonight, including those of them who helped them on their educational journey, and they're on the stage tonight and in the audience. So at this time, I would like to ask all of the faculty and staff, both on the podium with me, and all of the practicum instructors and other instructors in the audience to please stand and be recognized. Thank you for your contributions to our students. I know how appreciative they are. Students, of course, these are the folks that have been with you these last 2 years or 4 years, in some cases maybe 6 years. I'm thinking about Billy and Yvonne and Sandra, who have been preparing you all these years to go into the real world. But if you ever consider the fact that they're not going into the real world with you, that something that you thought about. And we understand, though, that as you go into the real world, you're going to encounter some unique challenges, and someday we may be going into the real world too, and I'm told that that's retirement. And joining us tonight is two of our retiring faculty, Professor Susan Murdy and Professor Bob Vanderbeek. And so we send them out to the real world veterans. And we hope to hear from all of you when you get out there and let us know that everything's okay. But now, of course, is the reason that we're all here is really the commencement activities. And so I'd like to begin the commencement activities with our awards and recognition event. And so at this time, I'd like to ask Professor Susan Murdy to please come forward and make a presentation.
I'd like Andrea Walker to come up on the stage here. Can you find your way there? The School of Social Work has a specialization. It's a field of practice in end-of-life care. And this is an area of social work that's growing in importance. And Andrea has completed all the requirements for this field of practice, and I'm going to give her her certificate.
Congratulations, Andrea. I would now like to provide the award for the Director's Award. So with Tracy Beveridge, the first group is for the Bachelor of Arts students, Tracy Beveridge, Natalie Bowie, and Amber Weber. Would you please come forward? The Director's Award is given for students in recognition of their outstanding achievement while in our programs. And these awards are given in memory of a former director of the school, one of my predecessors from the 1970s. His name was Frank Wick. And when he and his wife Mary Bell passed away, they bequeathed a sum of money to the school to give to the other directors coming behind them to make special recognition opportunities. And so we've initiated the Director's Award now these 9 years in recognition of the wonderful contribution which Frank and Mary Bell Wick made to the profession of social work and to social work education. So these certificates read, Tracy Beveridge, Callie Bowie, and Amber Weber hereby presented the Director's Award as an outstanding undergraduate major in social work at the University of Iowa School of Social Work, bestowed in recognition of your commitment to the ideals of the social work profession, including your academic achievement, your understanding and commitment to the core values of the social work profession, your embodiment of professionalism, and the development of your professional relationships in practice, in the community, and through the meaningful engagement that you have with your clients and the larger community. So it gives me great pleasure for each of you to confer this award on behalf of the School of Social Work this 14th day of May, 2014. Tracy? We also have Director's Award for our graduating MSW students. Three outstanding graduate students with Kimberly Gregory, Kirby Hansen, and Elizabeth Whalen. Please come to the stand. Again, these awards are presented recognizing your outstanding achievement as an MSW graduate of the University of Iowa School of Social Work. Award bestowed in recognition of your exemplary commitment to the ideals of the social work profession, your dedication to academic achievement, your adherence to the high standards of ethical and practice behavior, embodiment of the core values of the profession, meaningful engagement in the life of the school and as a role model for your peers, and your promotion of human well-being and social justice. And to each of you, I extend my congratulations on behalf of the School of Social Work this 14th day of May, 2014. Now it's my great honor to present the Phi Alpha Honor Society presentations for community members who have committed as professionals just incredible service to our profession. And the Phi Alpha is an honor society of the profession of social work. And tonight we are honoring two of our graduates of our program, Regina Curry and Eileen Svoboda. And so I'd like to ask Regina Curry to please come forward for my presentation. Let me tell you a little bit about Regina. Regina received her MSW degree from us here at the University of Iowa, Des Moines Center in 1992. As a licensed independent practitioner, Regina has served as a therapist in various settings, working and currently works at Unity Point, West and East, and at the Counseling for Growth and Change. She works primarily with women and at-risk families facing multiple issues, including chemical dependency and recovery, gender-specific and cultural challenges, and foster care and adoption issues. She has served as a practicum instructor for us, a practicum coordinator, and has taught several of our courses for us over the many years. She's also provided consultation to the Iowa Department of Human Services, Children and Families of Iowa, public schools, and other community organizations and churches. She's been active in many community organizations, including social workers in healthcare, the Council for Chemical Exposed Infants. I remember we did that together some years ago, and the Child Abuse and Prevention Council. In 2011, Regina was recognized as the Health Practitioner of the Year, receiving the James Durham Award at the Iowa Juneteenth Observance. And a fun fact about Regina, her last class in the MSW program was taught by me. So Regina, it's my privilege to present you with membership in the Phi Alpha Honor Society. Would you please come forward for your award? Eileen, like Regina, received her MSW from the University of Iowa here at our Des Moines Center in 1991, a year earlier than Regina. As a licensed independent practitioner, Eileen has worked as a therapist at Lutheran Social Services and currently at Compass Clinical Associates. She works primarily with children and families in the child welfare system, and she continues to receive training in play therapy, parent-child attachment, and trauma. She's been a practicum instructor for us and an adjunct instructor for the school, teaching several courses that the students have participated in, and for which we appreciate. She has served as a member of the Trauma-Informed Care Training Committee for several years and provides consultation on early childhood mental health for the Visiting Nurses Association, along with service to many other community organizations as a consultant. Eileen received the Greg Ball Award for service in 2011 and the Michelle Moore Award from the Child Abuse and Prevention Council in 2012. And interestingly, a fun fact about Eileen Svoboda is that her very first course in the MSW program was research, and it was taught by me. There seems to be a theme here, of fun facts. And so it gives me great pleasure, Eileen, to congratulate you and to induct you into the Phi Alpha Honor Society. I would now like to invite Billy Marchek to the podium, who is going to introduce our commencement speakers. Billy.
master's level students have selected for themselves a student speaker and a community speaker. And this year, they selected as their student speaker, Rachel Johnson. Rachel received her BA in Communication Studies from our competitor, UNI, in 2007 Good School. Prior to her admission to the MSW program, she was engaged in social justice advocacy work on behalf of lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender youth as an outreach coordinator with the Iowa Pride Network. And as part of her MSW curriculum, she completed 2 practicum placements, one with the Young Women's Resource Center and a second advanced clinical practicum at LifeWorks, both of which were in Des Moines. Rachel told me that she has discovered that in her own, these are my words, sassy, feisty, and can-do way, an apt description of herself being in the world, that those characteristics have positioned her well to work very compassionately, but also very effectively with today's youth. So, not surprisingly, she has been offered and has accepted a position with LifeWorks where, following graduation, I don't know if she's taking a day off, it might be tomorrow, no, she says tomorrow, she will serve as a school-based social worker in the Ankeny School District. Please join me in welcoming Rachel Johnson.
As always, and Ed and the rest of the distinguished faculty for allowing me to speak today. It is really an honor. Let's see. I actually asked the student speaker last year, who was my friend Brian, if he had any sage wisdom about giving a speech today, and the only kindness he showed me was to tell me not to make it boring. With that in mind, I'm going to keep it interesting and short because I want to get my little mittens on one of those degrees like everybody else right here. But on the other hand, it will not look like anything from a Miley Cyrus concert either. So we do have some boundaries we will follow. And I know that makes Billy feel a lot better right now. Because she knows how I am in class. But I've actually been talking with my classmates and about our experiences through school and life and how it's changed us over the past 2, 3, 4 years. And a common thing I always felt was, and it was amazed by, was the resilience of the students and how amazing academically everybody was able to perform even though they had these great responsibilities. In our program, we have a lot of non-traditional students. We have people who have families and work full-time jobs. We have single parents. And I've always been amazed at the caliber of work they're able to put out and show up to class. And they've always just amazed me. I also know that they've made a lot of sacrifices. They have missed baseball games and choir concerts because they were doing their work that they needed to do to get here today. I also know that the families made sacrifices. Each and every one of your families made a sacrifice. And I'm seeing some nodding heads right now, in both places. Ed, I actually am going to copy you because I'm also a fan of Desmond Tutu, who I had the honor of seeing in commencement speech. And I would actually ask you to rise and thank your coworkers, friends, and family for all the sacrifices. Thank our outstanding professors for gracefully managing our emotional breakdowns. It's funny because it's true. It's funny because it's true. Seriously, thank you for sticking around though. I can speak for all of us, including the BSW students, when I say that the past few years have maybe We haven't been in the best mood. We've been a little crabby, especially when we have a research paper due. But I guarantee you, we will more than make up for it tonight with plenty of celebrating. Let's see. I don't know actually how the rest of you found your way into this program or profession specifically. I do know that for me, it started in elementary school and as a child. They did that thing elementary school teachers do, and they ask you what you want to be when you grow up. And I honestly I always lied. I never had a genuine answer. Nothing seemed to stick. And I did not know what I wanted to be, and they kept pressuring me every year. I think they were just looking for ideas because they didn't want to be a teacher anymore. And I come from a family of educators, so I can totally say that, and I can say that. But I think I gave out typical responses like other kids did that were met with approval, like doctor, astronaut, princess, marine biologist. I think I was a veterinarian for 4th to 6th grade. But social worker never came up. And these were supposed to be not our real jobs, but our dream jobs as children. So I can kind of understand how social work might not come up. And I'm very glad that the dreams, whatever we put down on those drawings in 2nd and 3rd grade, didn't come true. Otherwise, we would have a world overrun by zookeepers and magicians. And we need more social workers in this world anyhow. Trust me, we're not short on clients and work. We need more. So I never knew what I wanted to be when I grew up in terms of a profession, but I did know what kind of person I wanted to be. I wanted to be kind, I wanted to be smart, I wanted to be considerate, compassionate, and more than anything, I wanted to be funny. As I grew up, I saw more and more of these characteristics that I wanted to adopt around the people in my life, my friends, family, friends of our family, my educators. And the person who seemed to most exemplify what I wanted to become was my father. He was and is still the greatest role model that I've ever had. And I don't think he knew that till just now, unless I let him know that sometime in like 3rd grade. I let it slip. But he should know that. I just wanted to wait till there was a really big room and a microphone to show that. But I should say, this actually does connect to what I'm doing as a profession, because he is now a retired school counselor and a teacher. His confidence, compassion, and all-out excitement to educate youth and support them in their path of growing up and to become these amazing people in our community inspired me and pointed me in a similar direction. Even as a young child, he let me know the value of my voice and also when to go to my room. But it's because of that, and because of how my parents raised me, both my mother and father, that this little mouthy short girl got into social activism, especially for youth in Iowa schools, a leader in the LGBT community, because we need them, and thus a social worker. So, Dad, thank you for being you, so I could be me. Thank you. He and many other people, like the brilliant faculty to my right, have inspired and definitely challenged me over the past couple of years to push me to who I'm meant to be, and I think that rings true for all of the students graduating today. The faculty in this program is exceptional, and BSW students, get your master's. Just do it. I've also learned along this journey that Social work is one of those rare and marvelous professions that just finds you at some point in your life. It's not the dream job in third grade. You just kind of find it and it finds us, and that's it. There's no other job in the world. There's no other profession or passion. We're social workers. Boom. It did happen like that, it did. And it never goes away. It's really ingrained in you. I think it's how you're raised, what you're taught. So again, thank you for raising these people to be so amazing. Because it does take heart, endurance, compassion to be a social worker. And it never goes away. It's truly ingrained in you. And it's also a lifelong profession, and it's a role and not just a job. And it's one that will continue with us well after we retire. We will still act, think, and talk like social workers. I know I'm going to be correcting people about stuff, or like duty to report, or I'll be 90 and maybe I'll have like, I might be in a nursing home and I'll be, reading them the riot act about something, and I'll be on top of things. It's either going to be really helpful or truly annoying. So I'm fine with it. This is how I was made. But again, it was and will continue to be something that with the greatest compassion and conviction we will use to strive forward and to make the world a more peaceful and just place to live. So if you didn't know what social workers did, that's what they do. They're change agents. They change the world. They change people every day by just being there and listening to them. And I can say that from experience. I can't fully express to you how radically proud I am of the graduates sitting here before me. They have accomplished so much, and I do believe our cohort is oddly rare. And we're a very tight bunch, and I'm sure the BSW students feel the same way about their cohort. You kind of become a family. And I kind of see us on this bridge, and I'm looking kind of to the past, and I just remember the first day of class up until now, and at some point, we linked arms, we just banded together, and we forged through all of this together. The good, the bad, the crying, the APA, check this, can you find an article for me, that? We all got through it together. And although I'm a bit sad, because we have to part ways now. And I know we'll try to stay in touch, but that's not always possible. I am, more than anything, excited to see what unique paths we all strike out on, and what great social justice work we will do. So, congratulations, guys, we did it. Awesome. Probably a few other descriptors were apt, but we were both keeping it within appropriate boundaries. Good job. As I said earlier, the graduating class selects for its communities, or selects its community speaker, and this year they have selected Emily Donovan. Emily is twice a graduate of the University of Iowa, once from our BA program in social work in Iowa City, and a second time from the master's program here at the Des Moines Center. And she's gone on since that master's degree to complete additional coursework to become a board-certified behavioral analyst. Emily tells me that as an undergraduate, she chose direct service because, to echo the theme just made, she found that macro practice was too slow. She wanted to change the world right now, and she found that doing it one person at a time where you could see the results and not have to wait years and eons was a more effective way.
Since receiving her master's degree, she has worked for Heartland AEA, where she provides social work services to children from birth to 21 years of age who are struggling with developmental disabilities and/or behavioral challenges. Emily has become a passionate advocate of the social work profession. She is just completing a 2-year tenure as the board president of the Iowa chapter of NASW. She's been nominated to serve on the national NASW board, and I'm proud to say she successfully sued the Board of Social Work Examiners in Iowa for the right of non-clinical social workers, yay, to be seated for advanced licensure. A true honor. I would also add that for the past 2 years, I've had the wonderful privilege of co-teaching the research sequence with Emily, and I would just note that that fact alone probably puts her at least 2 standard deviations above the normal social worker. Briefly on the lighter side, she's a mother of 2 wonderful children, and with her husband, she's learned the art of negotiating difference. She tells me she learned to ride a motorcycle so that he would learn salsa dancing, and more recently, he took a wine tasting class with her so that she would play paintball with him. Please join me in welcoming Emily Donovan.
Really nice job, Rachel. I really don't want to come up here after that. Thank you. And it's hard not to get choked up about the licensure issue. At the end of the month, I will finally have paid off my attorney. The MSW students, many of you know me because I co-instruct with the myth and the legend, Billy Merchant. She epitomizes what it means to be a social worker. She's smart, passionate, compassionate, and emulates true social work values and ethics in everything she does. And she has many fascinating stories from her days out in the field. And I'm sure if you ask her, she'll tell you those stories. So it's those stories. Those are the pieces about social work that I love the most, because everyone has a story. We get to listen to people's stories, help them write a new or a different story. We get to tell their story if their voices aren't loud enough to be heard. Today I want to tell you a little bit about my story and what I think it means to be a social worker. Like Billy said, I received my BSW from the University of Iowa in 2001, and to this day it's still the best decision I ever made. So you all have your stories, and Rachel kind of talked about this too, about how you got to this place and how you decided you were going to be a social worker. Maybe you have a parent in the field, maybe you knew one growing up, maybe you were helped by a social worker, or maybe you're just an altruistic person compelled to serve, and social work was the inevitable choice. In high school, I didn't even know what social work was. It wasn't on my radar. I was going to be a star on Broadway. However, I didn't have the guts and probably not the talent to leave the comfort of Iowa. I had lots of conversations with my youth pastor, and I considered him a mentor of mine throughout high school. And I remember sitting with him thinking, maybe I want to be a youth minister. And he looked at me and he said, Emily, youth pastors don't make any money. Maybe you should go into social work. So here I am, 13 years later, and I thank him every year on my Christmas card for leading me in this direction. So let's go back to 1999. I'm in my dorm room at the University of Iowa, Slater Hall, for those of you who are familiar. TV's on, tears are streaming down my face. The ticker's rolling across, and scenes from Columbine, Colorado are popping up on the screen. It was that day I knew I wanted to be a school social worker. I was told I needed a master's degree to be a school social worker, and I wasn't sure if I was smart enough, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to go to school that long. As Billy didn't mention, but I talked to her, my foundation practicum I did at the Department of Human Rights and Division of Latino Affairs. I had my minor in Spanish. And although I loved the people I worked with and had a great experience, the change was really slow because I wanted to change the world today. So I was sitting there, I graduated, wasn't really sure what I wanted to do, was contemplating joining AmeriCorps, and I was bartending at Cheddar's. That's a great place to get people's stories too. It just so happened that one of the gentlemen up at the bar had a daughter who was a social worker, and he gave me her card, and the next week I got hired at a private mental health agency. And I did in-home child and family therapy for the next 4 years. I started my master's program in the middle of that because I still wanted to be a school social worker. I knew that I wanted to help kids in schools where they spend the majority of their waking hours, and there was more variables that I can control in a school environment. In the meantime, my mother, who had dropped out of college to get married, stay home and raise 4 kids, had gone back to school and finished her master's degree in library science. So I knew that if she could do it, I could do it. So in 2005, I graduated with my MSW at the University of Iowa in this very Des Moines program. I did my advanced practicum at Heartland AEA and have been there ever since. My practice has evolved, and now I get to work with kids who present with significant behavioral needs, and they might also have developmental disabilities. I am right where I'm supposed to be. For 13 years, I continue to look forward to going to work every day. I have the best job in the world, and it's funny because people will tell me, I could never do your job. And I think that's great because I could never work in a cubicle. We all have our place in this world. And probably all of you love going to work every day and love being a social worker. And they've all been doing it much longer than I have. So, even those that have no idea that we're social workers, they seem to seek us out. Like there's some magnetic field around us. Social workers are beacons for totally random strangers coming up to us to tell us their stories. The National Association of Social Work had magnets made last year that said, you might be a social worker if, and one of the statements said, you are someone whose friends, acquaintances, and even store clerks tell you their problems. I don't know about you, but this happens to me all the time. I'm not really sure why, because I don't think I have a very friendly face. I don't know if you've seen my driver's license. My sister-in-law accuses me that I do something like I send out some signal that encourages this behavior, but she's witnessed it twice now, and she knows I'm not doing anything, it just happens. One time we were at our little local grocery store, and a gentleman came up to me and told me about his granddaughter who was 2, and then I find out, no, she's 16 now, so I had to stand there and listen to the whole story about from 2 to 16 and her mother's tour in Iraq. Another time I was at a gas station, we were on our way up to Minneapolis, and she went to go get a coffee. She comes back and sees I'm in this long conversation about the clerk's life story and how she got there. Maggie Grace is a retired social worker. She actually interviewed me for my practicum at Heartland. We were talking about this phenomenon during my interview, and she told me that a 3-legged squirrel took refuge on her deck. So even the most vulnerable in the animal kingdom know where to find us. A couple years ago, I was home and I heard my dog barking incessantly outside. And I peeked out the window and I see this older woman sitting on my front step. It kind of scared me and made me, and so I called my husband and I'm like, Billy, there's an old woman sitting on our front step. And he goes, maybe you should go out and see if she's okay. You're right, I could take her. So I didn't want to go out the front door and scare her, so I went out to the garage and I came around. And I just thought it was weird because I have this big fluffy golden doodle who loves everyone, and she's kind of standing behind the car barking. And so I started a conversation to find out why she's hanging out on my front step, and realized she can't talk and there's probably some kind of dementia. And so I asked if she was lost, and she shakes her head and a tear starts to stream down her face. And so I sit next to her and I rub her back, and I'm like, we're going to find out where you belong, and we're waiting for EMS to come, and then finally my dog comes over and licks her face. And so her husband has been driving around looking for her, and he spots us in the front and pulls in, and I learn that her name is Kay, and she was my neighbor up the street. Since that day, until she had to go to assisted living, she would come to my house at least once a week. And I'm not sure if it was because she liked to pet my dog or because I would hold her hand and walk her back home to her husband, Bill. And that's where Bill would tell me Kay's story and his story and the stories of their children that are now grown children of their own, one who even has autism. It's our stories that connect us, that carry a common human thread. It's our stories that breathe empathy into circumstances that can be difficult to understand. Whose story will you tell? What story will you write? I hope you all wake up every day for the rest of your careers, for the rest of your lives, excited and proud to call yourselves social workers. Congratulations. I can't wait to work with you in the field. We have plenty of work to do.
Rachel and Emily, thank you very much for those wonderful remarks and those stories. And I'm sure all of us as social workers in the room have similar stories that we share about the chance occasions that we have to talk with people about their life stories and be good listeners. Well, now, of course, it's the great time that we've all come for, and that is the conferral of the degrees. So at this time, I would ask Professor Yvonne Farley to come forward, and we'll call the undergraduate students first, students earning the Bachelor of Arts degree in social work, and we'll proceed with the main event.
I'm so pleased to get the chance to call you guys' name one more time, and I've taught all these people, and it's been a great privilege. So I just wanted to, once I have the microphone, say that it's been a privilege. So we will start, and if we can have each row stand up, starting with Tracy. Yes, and one row at a time. Okay. Tracy Beveridge. Catherine Brown. Callie Buell. Judy Demeritt. Abby Fessler Boylan. Kendra Graham. Sierra Hahn. Melissa Hirsch. Crystal Lake. Holly Perkins. Rebecca Smith. Amber Weber. Carissa Wilson. Let's give one last hand for our BSW. Yes, it was a long, hard path, I know, but it seems so worth it now. Okay, now if our first row of MSW students could please stand up. Jessica Braze. Laura Corcoran. Laura Courtney Brubaker. Deanna Dugalich. Kimberly Gregory. Kirby Hansen. Rachel C. Johnson. Kay Kinkle. John McDonald. John F. McInerney. If the next row can please stand up and come forward. Marilyn J. Musser. Angela O'Brien. Carissa S. Ortman. Rebecca Papian. Brandolyn Parker. Kristen Rasklika. Amy Riceberg. Abby Shell. Alyssa Shepard. Marcy Sherm. Erica Smith. Nicole Thompson. Adriana Champel. Tammy Varland. Andrea Walker. Elizabeth Whelan. Let's have one last round of applause. Congratulations. Family gave you a standing ovation. Family and friends. They deserve it.
Didn't I tell you we're rock stars here? Okay, let's move those tassels. What do you say? There you go. So well, we've come to the end of our graduation commencement activities. Thanks to all the folks who contributed to tonight's sponsorship of the event, including staff who are with us. Of course, now it's time that those of us who are here as your faculty, you came in as students and shared these years with us as students, and now is the night that you move from being our students to being our colleagues. And for faculty, very powerful in our lives, that you are now our colleagues. And we appreciate your We share the same degree, but more importantly, we share the same passion as professional helpers. And we also share the same social work godmother, Jane Adams. I know that I speak on behalf of all the faculty of the school. I wish for you that you have a professional life of fulfillment and satisfaction, knowing that each of you will do great things on behalf of the needs of the people that you will serve and our larger society, because that is our calling as professional social workers. And I know that you are up to the challenge. So, in conclusion, I want to thank everyone for coming out tonight to celebrate this wonderful event. And I say to you, good night, good luck, God bless, and go Hawkeyes!